Hey YouTube, welcome to the latest video. This is a sales roundup of all my favourite sales in the month of October. I'm going to show you 30 items here. I showed you 15 last month, but I thought I've had some really good sales last month and some of them are just too interesting, or there's a story behind them that it's worth sharing, so I'm going to do 30 this time. So the first one is a vintage slide projector. Bought this at a car boot sale. It came with the cartridge, and it took a little while to test it and check it was all okay. Had the little remote control there. It came in the box. These things are almost a no-brainer if you see them at the car boot sales, fairly cheap, as I got £69.95 plus postage. This is a VCR, came with SCART cable and all the wires. As you can see in the photo, I split the photo into three, and I put an overview of what's included, including a picture of the VCR actually turned on and playing a tape, which is that photo there. That's always good, although I do put in the description that the TV is not included, because that's very important when you have something in your photos that you're not actually including in the listing. It's always best to mention that, even though you might think it's obvious. This was quite a good VCR. It plays PAL and NTSC videotapes. As I say, I got £29.95 plus £4.99 shipping. This was something I picked up probably almost a year ago now. I actually bought 4 of these boxes of these Laura Ashley wall tiles. I already sold 2 of them, and I've sold the remaining 2 now, and I got £29.95 for them plus the shipping. They were completely boxed and they were quite nice tiles. You just got to wait for the right buyer to come along who actually wants them. This one was a nice item. I bought this at an auction. I sold it for £58. I took an offer on it. It's not the £79 shown there, it's £58 plus the postage. It went GSP. I did test it and mess around with some of the settings, and I managed to get this line that I pictured here, and so I sold it basically as that, and I've received very good feedback. He was really pleased with it. I think he got a bit of a bargain actually. This one was interesting because it came out of a junk stall. It's basically a vintage telecom bell that you would have on a wall of something like a reception or something like that, so when the telephone rings, the bell sounds. It's quite a rare item to find nowadays. Well worth getting though if you do see them, because this one sold for £29 plus the postage. Again, another video recorder. This one sold for £45 plus the postage. This one went GSP to Ireland, and this is the one I mentioned in a previous video where they opened a case saying that it was faulty. So I asked what the problem was. I never got any response to the case. I didn't accept the return because I wanted to know what was wrong with it, because as it was a GSP item, I could well be covered by the GSP shipping insurance. So I wanted to find out exactly what was wrong, because if it was broken during shipping, then GSP will cover me. Whereas if I just accepted the return, I would have had to pay to get it back. Anyway, so I contacted eBay because they weren't responding. eBay advised me to continue to try contacting the buyer. I did that several times over the course of about a month. never got any reply whatsoever, and the case eventually just timed out and it was closed. So the buyer ended up keeping the item. I kept my money. I have no idea why he ignored me, but he's now got the item and the case is closed. So I got my £44.95 plus the shipping. I've included this in the update because this is something to think about if you're buying large Sony or maybe even other audio systems. When you split them up and sell them separately, so you would sell the CD player, the radio, the amp, all of that separately, which I do because it makes it a lot easier to post. It widens the market and you'll get more for the item. But don't discard or include these cables with the items because they have quite a lot of value on their own. The system I'm selling here, well, the one I broke up into parts to sell individually, the Sony TAD505, had about 3 cables and they've each sold for £25. So that's before I've even sold the amps, the CD player, the radio, the cassette player, etc. So well worth thinking about selling those cables. This is something that I've had on my pile of shame for a long time. I almost actually threw it away until I actually looked at it a little bit more and thought this is a really heavy item, and it was actually made of lead. So I searched for lead toy plane on eBay and noticed that they were actually selling for quite a lot of money. I assume because of the lead content. So I put mine up for quite a high price, $19.95, and it sold. I was very surprised, and it's well worth looking in those toy boxes and stuff for these things. This is a Topshop real leather handbag. This came from the car boot sale. $29.95 is what I got for it plus the shipping. I actually sold it as a small holdall boho indie distressed, following some other keywords from other sellers. It seemed to do the trick. This was an auction pickup again. It's something that I really should have investigated a little bit further, because I saw it on the shelf, I bidded on it. I had a quick look in it at the auction on the viewing day, and it looked quite new, so I thought that's going to be a good purchase. But when I actually got it home, I realised it didn't actually come with the pedal or the power cable, so I was unable to actually fully sell it as a complete working system. I was able to test it because you can connect a power and basically bypass the pedal, but I couldn't actually sell it with a pedal. I did look on eBay to see if it was worth me buying a pedal. It wasn't really. I put it on there for £50, but I actually took an offer of £30 plus the postage. I was pleased to see that go. This was a nice JVC camcorder, sold for £49.95 plus the postage. It came with a tape. I always keep various tapes in stock, so I can bundle them with these camcorders. So when I buy a camcorder from a boot sale or an auction and it comes with a load of tapes, I often keep a few of the tapes back. I don't include them all. So it just means I can, if I get one that doesn't have any tapes, I can test the actual cassette recorder as well, but I can also bundle it with a couple of the tapes as well. But this one was a nice one. It came with all the power cables and such, so yeah, I managed to achieve a good price for that one. This was something I bought out of a car boot sale, just in a box on the floor. It's a Fasti roof box strap. It's brand new, and it seems to have decent amount of value for what it was. £14.95 free postage. So always keep an eye out in those little boxes that are on the floor at the car boot sale. This is something else that was quite undervalued at the car boot sale. It's a BMW RDS radio, business model. I took an offer and eventually sold it for £60 plus the postage. Unfortunately, I couldn't actually check it working. I sold it in good condition, but as it didn't have a code, I wasn't actually able to fully check all the item over, hence the lowish price. These can usually sell for around £100 if working. There are ways where I could have got the code and I could have fully checked and tested it. A lot of people create rigs to test these car stereos on, and you can also connect it to your own car if you wanted to pull out your own radio and do that, but I really couldn't be bothered with any of that, so I was happy with a quick flip of £60 plus the postage. This is an Xbox 360 drum kit. Again, came from the car boot sale. Didn't come with any drumsticks, although I've got a big bundle of drumsticks that I've also got on eBay. But they are a perfect match for the original Rock Band drum kit as well. So I put the 2 sticks with that, and I managed to get £39 plus the postage. This is something worth looking out for. These old Sony remotes, if they're good ones, some of them are quite valuable just on their own. So if you buy a hi-fi or a TV or something like that, and the TV's broken, don't discard the remote control. Equally, look in those boxes at car boot sales for this sort of good remote. You'll notice it. You'll notice the brand. If the brand's good, it'll have some sort of value, especially if it's something like a Sony and it's got lots of features on. But it's all really down to the model numbers. But this one went for £29.95 free postage. This is a bundle of 10 used reel-to-reel tapes. I got these with a reel-to-reel player from the auction. I bought a reel-to-reel player quite a long time ago. I've since sold that, and I've sold many of these tapes before. This is one such bundle. It's all got home recordings on them, which I think people quite like. And I put it on for £49.94 plus the postage, which is quite cheap. That's about £10. No, it's about £5 per reel, which isn't too bad anyway. But it's a good way of getting rid of quite a few of them all in one go. I've still got loads of these to get listed, and listing them at the moment actually. This is a Sony PS2 Slim console. I bought this, I think this came from the auctions. Didn't come with any games, but I got plenty of games in stock. So I bundled a few decent games that are ideal for bundles with it, and put it up there for £50 with the postage, with £4.99 postage, and yeah, managed to achieve that. I took, similar to the VHS videos, I took a video of the console actually working there, so it's playing the Incredibles game there. This is something I picked up in the summer at the car boot sale. I think it was in a boot sale haul, if I remember rightly. I eventually sold this for £20 plus the postage. This was, I wasn't really sure whether this was worth buying at the time. I thought it would be worth a lot more than what it was, which at the time I was looking at, the solds were about £10. But I put it up for £19.95 plus the postage, and just waited out for that sale, and eventually it came. I've actually seen these at the car boot sale since and not bought them, because this one hadn't sold, but I wish I had now. because it has sold in the end. So it's perseverance. If you've got a good item, eventually it wheels out. This is another video recorder here. This one is a Panasonic NV-DS60. This is a mini DV camcorder. Came with lots of accessories here. Came with the chargers, came with remote controls, timer controls, separate LCDs, a tape, quite a lot of accessories that made the price to $99.95. As you can see here, I took a photo here of it recording my bottle of cleaning fluid, and then also playing back a tape here. So if you can do that, it's always worth doing on these video players. This is one of my favourite pickups of last month. It sold quite quickly. It's a vintage flat Eric. I think I did a haul about it in the Haul from the Hall, and he sold £59.95 plus postage. This is something well worth picking up on the run up to Christmas. This is a vintage food tray warmer, like a plate warmer. These sell because people want to use them for their Christmas parties and Christmas dinners. So always worth getting these if you see them at the right price. They go for around £20 each. This was a good sale. I like this one. This is a vintage Monopoly, really old one with the wooden houses and the little box with the old-fashioned cards and things. It sold for £40 plus the postage. Very nice, and it wasn't in bad condition, but it was well played with, let's just say that. This is an electric typewriter, a Brother AX100, sold for £70 plus the postage. This was a nice car boot sale pickup again. Nice way of testing these, just to put some paper in and type something and take a picture of that. I usually type what the item is plus tested working on it, just so they can see it is actually that item that's done it. You could also use your eBay username, I guess, and that might encourage them to know that it's the actual item being used. But yeah, really good pickups these. Keep an eye out for them. This is something I've had on sale for probably 2 years. It's actually quite a really good amplifier with twin cassette decks. Unfortunately, it had lots of issues with it. It had broken knobs on the front. One of the cassette decks didn't work properly. I've had it on for so long at a reasonably cheap price, and eventually I ended up letting it go for £19.95 plus the postage. One of the reasons why I didn't really want to sell it any cheaper than that was really my lowest price, and it's been low for a long time, is that it's really, really heavy and it's quite a hassle to post, so I don't really want to spend the time packaging up something for not that much money. So there was a limit to how cheap I would actually do this, and it's basically sat in my storage for a long time, but I was very pleased to see it go and get out the door. Hopefully somebody will get use out of it as well, because it was a really high spec unit, quite a nice vintage unit. It was just a bit in tatty condition. This was a nice sale. This is £59.95 plus the postage, an AUR stereo amplifier. I got the whole system and I split it all down into separate parts, and I've sold the CD player, the radio, the cassette player and the amp, and this is the amp, whereas people are selling the whole system for around the price I got just for the amp, sometimes even less. And of course I've also got the speakers I've got on sale separately, and the wires. I think this one actually came with wires that detached, so I was also able to sell those separately. So yeah, and it makes it a lot easier to post something that's just one item rather than a big 5 unit hi-fi. This vintage speaker selector box came with some old hi-fi units that I bought from the car boot sale. They were all caked in cigarette smoke, and so was this. Managed to clean it up the best I could. I was basically discarding it, but it was a vintage selector, so I looked on eBay and they were selling, so I cleaned it up. I tested it when I tested the all the items that I got with it, and I got £14 free postage for it, so at least it's going to go to a good home and get used again. These worth picking up if you see them. These are Pimpernel English fox hunting placemats. Various designs of these sell. The fox hunting one does sell. I think there's some other ones that can do quite well as well. I've sold a few of these Pimpernel placemats before. The better condition they're in, obviously the better, because people do want to use them, I think. And I got £19.95 plus the postage. This is a Sony XDR S16 DBP DAB radio. I'm including this because I actually bought this on Facebook Marketplace. Saw it come up. I think I paid £15 for it. I went round their house, picked it up, came back, put it straight on eBay, and it was sold within a couple of days for £50 plus the postage. A very nice flip. This is something I bought at a car boot sale. I think it was only a couple of £, I can't really remember. But this is a vintage wall telephone, and the reason I'm including this in my update is because this is actually going to a film studio that is recording for The Crown. Now I believe they're recording the next series or something. I've not actually watched The Crown at all, but I'm guessing that this is going to feature in that series, so if you watch The Crown, keep an eye out for this blue telephone. And I got £24.95 plus the postage. And finally, just a reminder, do not discard printer ink when you see it at the car boot sales. It all depends on the model numbers, but if it's genuine branded ink like Epson, genuine Canon, genuine HP, it's all pretty much always worth buying as long as the ink is at the right price. It's also worth, and it's what I've started to do, is if you see a printer for sale and you don't specifically want to buy the printer, I usually don't want to buy the printers, but it comes with ink, it's always worth saying, I'll give you a couple of £1 for that ink. And sometimes they'll take that, and because they've still got the printer to sell, and they think the printer's just the valuable thing, so they think that the ink's not worth anything. Yeah, and as long as it's all sealed, it can fetch decent money. This one went for £23.95. Usually with these sort of things, I usually just price them £1 cheaper than the other sellers that are selling them regularly. With multi-quantity listings, I usually put them like £1 cheaper, and they usually go fairly quickly. So yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope it encourages you to go out and find some similar items of your own at the car boot sales, the auctions, Facebook. And I'll see you in the next video. I'll see you next month for another sales roundup. I've got some other videos coming out over the following weeks as well, so keep an eye out for them. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye for now. Thanks so much for watching the video. If you liked what you see, please think about subscribing by clicking the subscribe button. And you can find other videos just here.